growing up, yeah. This is for the one who ain't never had a love, yeah. This one's for the girl who don't feel like she's enough, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This one's for the cool kid playing on the school team, crying to himself cause he never had the prom queen. Head full of wants, but they said it's just a pipe dream, yeah. This one's for the kids like me, they ain't never had one day. The ladies always turn their cheek, but they ain't let the fat ones sing. This one's for the kids like me, kept working when they had nothing. When people try to take their dreams, they stuck it to
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing out there on this Wednesday, January 15th, 2025, for episode number 148? So Restream's been doing this really weird thing where I know you guys just saw me like stare at the camera for 2 whole seconds. For whatever reason, the videos that I play on my side with my intro has been getting cut off for about 2 seconds. So if I'm awkwardly staring there, I apologize. Gonna have to figure out how to get that fixed. But I want to jump in right away today saying hello to everybody, wherever you're watching, whether it is X, Facebook, YouTube, Kick, Rumble. We appreciate it all wherever you're watching from. Wherever you are, do your due diligence. If you're on X, give us a follow and a repost. Facebook, a share and a follow. On YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe. Rumble, likewise, and Kick, give us a follow over there. And most importantly, spread this word of mouth. Now, we had a great time last week. We had a fun show. Dave was here with me. He's not here today, obviously. He'll kind of be in every other Wednesday. But we talked to Daniela Pensack, host of the Culturama podcast. We had a really good conversation with her, just talking all about the cultural things and going on like that. So go back and give that a listen. My quick preamble, let's keep talking about the Epstein client list, getting people to talk about that. Make sure that we have, people in the big podcasting space continue to talk about it. I have all the confidence in Kash Patel in releasing it, but we just need to stay on out there and helping out the victims of Helene and Milton and now the California fires. So I want to get to the show right away. That was my quick kind of half preamble that I always do. I want to bring in my guest today. He is coming on in. He is Mike Marshall. He is a coordinator at Early Vote Action and someone that I describe as a person that I'm lucky that today I'm getting him because in the future, he's going to be a hard guy to get in touch of. Mike, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Alex? Nice to be on here with you.
Yeah, I'm pumped to have you on. We got one mutual connection that bizarrely brought us together, and now here we are.
Dude, listen, I'm an open book. If you want to even go into that story, I'm game.
Oh, we absolutely can. So bottom line is everyone here knows that I'm a driving instructor. If you've watched the show before, I teach people how to drive. And randomly, I get told to go to this one house and I'm pulling up there. And I've had my fair share of people that have a Trump thing or MAGA or something like that. And I'm cool with that, whatever. I'm obviously a Trump supporter. So I pull up to this place. In the window, there's 2 Trump Vance things. And I'm like, oh, dope. I'm going to get along with this person perfectly. Out walks Mike, rocking the Maha hat. And so, of course, I'm like, oh, nice hat. And then he's like, gets in the car and goes, you were recommended to me by somebody that you had 2 years ago. And he asked me if I remember. And of course, I'm like, yeah, I don't remember anyone from 2 years ago. But he's like, yeah, he told me you had a show and we got to talking and here Mike is. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Very funny. And just for the record, I'm not 16 years old. I'm a grown man.
Listen, none of us are grown men. We're playing on the internet and sharing our opinions on the internet. We are not grown men. So I want to get right into the nitty gritty with you. Being a part of Early Vote Action, that's one of the things when you told me that, I'm like, that's freaking sweet because Scott Pressler has been a literal godsend for the conservative movement over the last few years because he started picking up these scraps, doing the dirty work of getting on the ground. And the guy was homeless for the past 4 years, just living out of his car, just registering as many voters as he can. And really integral to delivering Pennsylvania with us. We had on Cliff Maloney of the PHAs not too long ago. And I said, like, between those two, Pennsylvania doesn't exist. And it's cool to have somebody who was on the ground working for that. So first, what has it been like working for Scott Pressler on early vote action?
So the work that I did do leading up to the election was very interesting, and I was very fortunate to meet Scott at a rally and be able to work towards the tail end of the 2024 election. I was basically all over. I was in Pikes County, Monroe County, I was up near Scranton, all over the place doing basically whatever to scramble to get the election, result that we ended up having, which was really, really fulfilling. But like moving into the next, season of work that we'll be doing at Early Vote Action is not just continuing to register voters at, polling places in Pennsylvania, future polling places, gas stations, grocery stores, social gatherings, really whatever we get the opportunity to do. But we're also expanding the operation to New Jersey and possibly Virginia.
Nice.
So it's a real catch-all. And I would like to say, if anybody's interested in doing voter registration, because that's the period of work we're doing right now, there's kind of two different seasons when it comes to delivering decisive election victories. There's the voter registration season, and then there's the ballot chasing season, which is basically when voter registration closes and you are then chasing ballots to make sure people get their vote cast. So there's going to be multiple opportunities in early vote action for people that want to come on board. I know that early vote action is hiring right now in the state of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and pretty soon it will be expanding to Virginia. So if anybody listening is interested and is from the tri-state area, maybe even live in New York like myself, and are comfortable driving 50 minutes out of your way to go to Pikes County, where the town of Milford is, to help out there, all hands on deck. We have two really important gubernatorial races that we have to deliver this year, both in New Jersey and in Virginia. So we welcome as many people to come on board as possible. And so it was very interesting being able to work on the ground, especially the last few weeks of the 2024 election.
So talk about a little bit leading up to it, because you want people to come on, obviously, but I never want people to go in and just think like this is going to be sunshine and butterflies. I'm just
Right.
going to walk up to people. They're going to say, "Oh, I know Scott Pressler here. Yes, I will register." So
Right.
talk about the grind that it was, because I just want to get the reality to people of. I talk all the time how like get involved, right? That's the most important thing we could do.
Yeah.
Get involved. I'm massive on getting involved locally, even though Scott is more affects the federal a lot. Obviously, if you're registering for everything. So
Yeah.
give people the reality of what it is being basically a foot soldier for like the ground game of registering voters.
It's long hours. It's a commitment. It's dedication. You're looking at, upwards of 60-hour weeks, especially
Yeah.
when you're closer to an election. Um, and it's also, there's some discouraging things that happen too, because you're not always in friendly company.
Yeah.
Personally, I remember we were in Monroe County, okay, and the task for the day was to basically put flyers on people's windshields, and the flyers read, uh, gas prices under Trump, gas prices under Biden, grocery prices under Trump, grocery prices under Biden Harris, right? And throughout that process, there was multiple times where the police would be called on us for trespassing or creating, some sort of soliciting situation. And like I was telling you, we even had one guy who was recording us and basically threatening to lie about what our intentions in that parking lot were to try and get us arrested. So it's not easy. It is difficult, but it is also fun, because even though there's a lot of commuting involved and you're traveling around and you're trying to find different things to do, as a coordinator, you work with your captain, and basically what that means is the captain dictates, all right, this group is going here, this group is going there, and then the coordinators come up with the specific events for the local areas that we're working in. So, like I said, there's opportunities to one day set up a booth outside of a grocery store, register to vote here, or a family gathering, or excuse me, not family gathering, but a gathering where there's a whole bunch of families present
Yeah.
for a local community day. Set up a voter registration booth there. Work with local leaders, whether it's elected officials or church leaders, to organize ways that you can get people registered to vote. So yeah, it's not a cakewalk, but it's a very fulfilling job to take up, because at the end of the day, you're helping deliver some really, really important election victories so that we can restore some common sense to our country.
And I think you guys arguably delivered the most important election victory, or one of the in the history of the country. Obviously, it's massive getting Trump back in there.
Yep.
Now, I really think I want to give you and Scott an idea, and that whole group. You should have people following everyone, all your groups with iPhones, videotaping the whole time. Where
Mhm.
how there's like always like clip channels. You should have
Yep.
clips of psycho libs harassing you guys. Like you guys should just post them all up all the time. I feel like number one, it would be massive, but number two, it would kind of expose just like I don't recall conservatives going around and harassing leftists because they've one thing I will always give the leftists, the Democrats, their ground game has always been really good. They've
Yeah.
had no fear. They will go into red territory and not care, right?
Yep.
And kudos to them, right? That's playing the political game. They've done it much better than conservatives for a really long time.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be just kind of a way libs of TikTok and things like that expose the insanity. I feel like those types of stories that you tell me, if those are on video, you put them online and it now shows just like we're going out there and doing the same things that any other political, group or would do to like try and get our side to have victory. And there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Mhm.
Putting
Mhm.
flyers places. I have gone around and I've put flyers on doors and stuff like that for political reasons. And it's like it's
Yep.
just part of the game. Do people sometimes hate it? Yeah. But it
Yep.
is what it is. That's just part of it. So I love what you guys do. And I think Scott Pressler has been an inspiration to so many of us, and obviously inspiring people to come and do the hard work and stuff like that it's going to take to continue to win elections. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I love about it. Scott's not taking his foot off the
Nope.
gas pedal. He sees
Nope.
New Jersey can have a conservative governor, not just a Republican, not friggin' Christy Todd Whitman or Governor Christie, who were not very Republican, but a legitimate good conservative governor, which would
Yeah. A
be
MAGA governor.
a MAGA governor, which would
Yeah.
be massive and difficult in a Northeast state generally, but it
And
can be
and
done.
and, and Citrelli got pretty close in
So close.
2021.
I would love for him to run again. I really
Yeah,
would love for him to run
I
again.
think he should, and probably will.
I hope so because he was fantastic. He was saying all the right things, and Phil Murphy had no business winning.
Yeah,
Now I want to jump in here. Go
just
for it.
like 2020, right? We were watching that happen
Mhm.
the night of, and we saw how it crept along, and
Yep.
Phil Murphy just got over the edge.
And it was
So,
all those mail-in votes late, and this county counting when and where, and it's always been. But now that the votes will be more straight up, I feel like the conservatives have a much better
right,
chance.
right.
So jumping in with Nate G over here, as always, more like the late Questa show. You know what, Nate? You keep the people waiting, you keep the people wanting, and they come. All right, Nate. Damn
Yeah.
it. Don't get on our back. Nate G is our resident super fan. He is always here with us every night that we're on. So we
Okay.
love Nate over here. So talk about, obviously Scott's expanding. He is
Yeah.
in New Jersey now, obviously staying in PA. You mentioned Virginia, which I'm surprised about. I think Virginia is absolutely a sick place to jump into. Considering Glenn Youngkin, I think is surprisingly been better than we thought on a lot of
Yeah.
things. Why Virginia? New Jersey was obviously close. Why Virginia? Because Virginia, I think to a lot of us, we see it as pretty red. Like, it's pretty good, but it's been flip flopping a little. So, what's Scott's point of going in there from what you see?
Well, Southern Virginia is deep blue. Um, and yes, Youngkin won in 2021, but it was kind of a lightning in a bottle election victory, and both mainstream pundits and right-wing pundits recognize that. And I would just say that it usually favors some pretty progressive Democrat governors. I mean, you look at the governor before in the state of Virginia, that's the guy who famously said, "We keep the babies alive and keep them comfortable," as
Ralph Northam.
yep, Governor Ralph Northam, who basically was talking about post-birth
It
abortions,
wasn't
okay,
basically for so
infanticide.
many words. That was the question that he was asked. Was it
Yeah,
about post-birth abortion? And he quite
yeah.
literally said,
We
"We
keep the
keep the
baby
babies alive,
comfortable.
we keep them
Yeah.
comfortable, and then we
Mhm.
let the doctors and the parents decide what to
Yep.
do," which is one of the
Yep.
sickest statements anyone could have out of their mouth.
Yep. So you have that guy on one end of the spectrum, and then you have Glenn Youngkin on the other end of the spectrum talking about restoring parents' rights and giving power back to the family and the household
Thank you to
regarding.
Loudoun County for being crazy. Loudoun County
Mhm.
being crazy helped Glenn Youngkin so much.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on, and I'm going to be honest here, whether 2025 is winnable for the state of Virginia is really going to come down to Trump's performance during his first term.
100%.
Because if we're being honest, headed into 26, it's almost a guarantee just because of the way the political cycle works. All the big money is going to be spent with the Democratic Party. We're going to
Yep.
lose the House. Hang on to the Senate. Hang on to the Senate. Potentially gain a seat in the Senate, but we're going to lose the House. All right, we can do our best to mitigate that disaster,
Yep.
but usually incumbents during their midterm cycle, unless it's some absolutely astronomically good, first 2 years where Congress and the executive branch are cooperating and bills are getting passed, and there's general prosperity. But even if there is general prosperity, you kind of see the pendulum swing towards the party that is out of power
Yep.
because then their base is energized. So, do I think Winsome Sears, who has a pretty good track record of not being MAGA, pretty establishment, and was a big DeSantis backer in the 2022 midterms and then going into the 2024 election? I mean, she was literally backing Ron DeSantis's candidacy when he was trying to get reelected as governor in 2022. So that's
Yep.
why I bring that up. If she doesn't have the core base to get out there and feel mobilized to vote for her, and she's also experiencing that kind of natural political cycle where incumbents and the incumbent party isn't favored for gains, it's not, you know, as easy to win the state of Virginia like it would be, being honest, the state of New Jersey.
Which is
Um,
crazy that comes out of anybody's mouth that a southern
right. I
state
think
is harder to win than a northeast blue bastion used to be.
right. And I think that the state of New Jersey in 25 has better chances than the state of Pennsylvania in 26.
Wow.
So, and that's just a prediction I'm making. I think you're going to see a smaller margin in that gubernatorial race than you will in the 2026 gubernatorial race for Pennsylvania.
Well,
So
Shapiro's very liked by a lot of
he is very
Pennsylvanians,
liked.
and
He's
he's
moderate.
I don't like him, but he's a good
Yeah,
politician. I will give him props in terms of just the way he carries himself as a politician.
right. He's not like a Gavin Newsom who is so
Or Kathy
openly
Hochul.
psychotic.
Yeah.
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 He at least appears to care
Yep.
and be a little bit towards the side of common sense when he criticized the Biden administration and some of the things when it came to immigration and other issues. But again, he's a moderate kind of traditional establishment corporate Democrat.
Yep.
I don't know if that's so popular in the state of Pennsylvania right now, because you got to remember in that same election cycle, they also elected the super populist John Fetterman,
Mhm.
who Trump just recently said was a very bright and phenomenal guy who has a lot of great ideas. He's not liberal or conservative. He's just common sense.
Which is
And
funny considering his track record as mayor and what he was saying as mayor was Bernie Sanders communist-esque. Like, he was very left as a mayor. And I
right,
think this brain, whatever healing, has brought him back. Maybe he got into Congress, saw all the games being played, and was like, "This is wrong." And
right.
yeah, maybe
I
that's what it is.
I have to agree with something that Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks said, and that is that we're no longer in the establishment swamp. We're now in the populist woods,
Yep.
right? The age of kind of the traditional corporate, donor special interest beholden politics that we're used to is coming to an end. And I think you have populists from both the left and right wing that are shaking hands right now and realizing that the machine is the bigger problem than their petty ideological and cultural differences that they have.
And I think that's important because we even heard, like, what people could say whatever they want about Matt Gates, right? But Matt Gates openly would talk about all the time, like, no, I work with AOC in the squad because the squad is populist. And
Yep.
although we disagree on some foundational things, we certainly agree on other foundational things. And I think Ro Khanna is a good example of this because Ro Khanna is very willing to go against the establishment vocally, at least, right? They all vote
Yeah.
in line, right? But he'll at least go on the floor and try to push through a bill that will be co-sponsored by, someone you wouldn't think, by Andy Biggs. Like him and Andy Biggs will do a bill together
Shame
because
on shame on Mike Johnson for removing Thomas Massey from the Rules Committee
I mean,
as a petty little punishment for him being outspoken against the kind of Washington back scratching that goes on there.
that just shows the fear of Mike Johnson, though, because he knows that Thomas Massey actually has some pull, right? Because, and you see, like, this is where, like, I disagree with Trump on some things because he'll go at guys like Thomas Massey, he'll go at guys like, Chip Roy, who I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
people
I
have
don't
a
agree with
very,
the Chip Roy. He's been super, super crazy about Chip Roy. I don't know
yeah.
where that one came from.
Well, I understand Chip Roy never backed him, right? And that's
Right.
Donald Trump to a T. He hasn't backed him in any of his three campaigns. And I get that. Donald Trump is very much a loyal guy, even though Chip it constantly says, like, I want to push the MAGA agenda.
Yeah,
Whenever Trump is there, he wants to do it. So
yeah.
I mean, Chip, listen, in all politicians, there's good and there's bad, right? You're not going to agree with all of them. When Chip's right, he's right. When he's wrong, he's wrong. Thomas Massey, I'm typically on his side with most things. And even when I disagree with him, when he puts out his logic, I may still disagree with him, but I understand it, which I think more politicians need to do as well.
Can I raise something? Might be a good conversation.
Let's say it.
Look at Ron DeSantis. Look at Chip Roy. Right.
Mhm.
These guys are not establishment Republicans. They
Yeah.
have pretty populist views,
Yeah.
but they approach the way they implement policy and go about raising those issues from a very by the book kind of establishment way.
Yes.
What it? How do we dismantle the smear campaign that was run against them? Right, the 2024 primary is over. We elected President Trump, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like we're really leaving a lot of talented people
Agreed.
behind by not really dismantling the kind of like, oh, their establishment, they want to cut Social Security, they want to cut Medicare, all that stuff that was ran against them to kind of paint them as kind of like Bush Cheney adjacent during the primary to appeal to the base to not peel off and actually vote for them. But Ron DeSantis is an effective governor, and he
Yes, he
has
is.
a lot of populist views.
So the way I
How do
see
we
it,
tackle that?
number one, Ron DeSantis needs to do what he did last week and start to destroy the media again, because that's where we liked Ron the most, when he was out there battling and taking on the media and showing his competence, right? Because he didn't show any of his competence during the primary. He was way too coached, way too polished, way too reading, right? We like Ron when he's off the cuff, when he's showing his intelligence. That's one. The way we battle back to get some of these people who were on the DeSantis camp is we don't let the non-conservative MAGA lead the way. Conservatives need to battle. And we're starting to see some of those fraying lines. The H-1B visa argument, the
Steve Bannon versus Elon Musk.
Steve Bannon versus Elon Musk, where we can agree with the basis of why we all got there and voted for Trump, right? Because there's obviously value to some of these people who are still very MAGA and things like that. But conservatives can't leave other conservatives out to dry. And I
Yeah.
think we need to sit there and not be afraid of the backlash of MAGA when we disagree with Donald Trump, when we will say Chip Roy's correct at times, even though Trump is bashing him, saying he's going to get primaried, when we defend Thomas Massey, when we say,
I think it
I
would be a
say,
shame if Chip Roy got primaried.
agreed. And I openly say, I'm excited for 2028. And everyone's like, it's only JD Vance. And I'm like, the fuck it is only JD Vance. Okay. JD Vance, I like JD, even though everyone now accepts JD Vance after he called Trump Hitler. So it's like, it's a very weird dichotomy with what MAGA is willing to accept and not. But overall, what
I
I
think
feel is
MAGA likes the redemption story.
I do as
And I
well, but
don't think
we can
Ron
get it.
DeSantis is a guy that wants to be looked at as being redeemed.
But in 2028, just think of the stable we have. JD Vance, if Trump has a good 4 years, is going to be the leader, right?
Yeah.
Vivek's not going down swinging. I firmly believe the reason why Doge ends in 2 years is because Vivek wants 2 years of campaigning. Vivek's not going away. I think Ron DeSantis should
I
absolutely
think
run
that
again.
I think that Vivek and Vance might be cooking something up.
They
Like
could be.
they run against each other in the primary, take all the media attention, and then come together at the end
Would be
for
beautiful.
for
And I
a
would
for
love
a
that.
super ticket.
It
That
would
would
be
that
great.
could be a good political strategy to make it look like we're having a spirited primary, because if you know the political system, you have a primary, it just energizes your base to, continue voting. But um I just would caution against this in 2028. You don't want too many populists running, and if there is going to be a lot of populist conservatives running, you want to make sure that the ones that don't have a pathway get out quick, because you never want to leave that 30 or 40% voting block that's going to turn up for Nikki Haley or Chris Christie
Yep.
or some other neocon establishment Republican to be able to have any sort of foothold. Because if you have MAGA, which is like conservatively 75, like three-quarters of the Republican primary electorate,
Yep.
split in 12 different ways, then all of a sudden you end up with Nikki Haley giving her RNC victory speech in July of 2028. So
And
have
I
that
could see that being Tim
conversation.
Scott. Tim Scott is going to be that establishment candidate in 2028,
I hate Tim Scott.
which is
I
why he's going to be the
loathe
establishment candidate.
I
And
loathe Tim Scott.
I want
He's
to
a
put two
poor
more
public
people.
speaker. He's low energy.
I
I've always
agree.
I've always had an issue with Tim Scott. He just there's something about Tim Scott that makes my blood boil, and
I'm
always
gonna
has.
put I'm gonna put two more people on the radar. I think Doug Burgum runs again because I think he's gonna get notoriety during this
Yeah, true.
group, and I think he's
And he'll
running
have
more for
money.
VP.
Doug Burgum will get the Koch brothers.
He
Doug
will,
Burgum will get all the money,
but
especially from Big Energy.
I think Doug is running for VP, even if he runs, right? He'll get percentage, but I think he's running for VP. The dark horse I see potentially running and getting a lot of people behind her back, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Fantastic governor who has said all the right things, was liked as a press secretary, and I think she's a pretty good public speaker, and she's
I
somebody I think people will get behind.
don't think that we would be respected around the world if Sarah Huckabee Sanders was the executive in this country.
Possibly not, but again,
Because I
we'll see
think
the
that
campaign she runs.
I think that oh, this is see during the VP discussion, I was so spirited about what I really believed, because I did not want a weak kind of slimy person on that ticket with Trump.
Agreed.
And yeah, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is a good public speaker, and from a policy perspective has been a good governor, but I don't think she'll be able to shake the disrespect she would get for trying to seek that executive role. I,
And
I really
and we'll
don't,
see.
and I don't see her as a strong leader.
And but I just see her as kind of a dark horse if she can get coached up. Because out of all like the females, my brother has a policy that like good looking people shouldn't be in politics. And I think that's like a hilarious policy. But I think that I don't know. I just see Sarah's giving some speeches I've liked, and we'll see, right? Because 2028 is a long time from now. This
I
could
would I
go
would think that I would think that her sunken face would make her unelectable, if I'm just just
possibly.
being blunt.
Here's the thing that we could sit there, and one of the mistakes I've already think Trump has made was endorsing Mike Johnson, because we could see a disastrous first 2 years if Mike Johnson becomes the Mike Johnson we know him to be, and nothing gets done, and Trump has to do everything via executive fiat, very similar to the first 4 years.
Yep.
Because what happened, everything that all the good that he did got undone by Biden on day one, and then slowly got put back in under the rug as Biden tried to make up for some of the dumb shit he did. So that's my biggest fear because you know John Thune's going to fight him against everything, right? So it's like if it's got to be something that blows their doors off where Thune can't say no in the Senate. The House needs to.
Thune told Laura Ingraham that there's already been that their professional relationship is evolving, which is pretty much code for it's rough and tumultuous, but we're figuring out what we're gonna be willing to compromise on. But you're right. He's Mitch
It's disaster.
McConnell. He's the apprentice of Mitch McConnell. So
Yeah, it's so to me, I already see an uphill battle, and I understood from a political standpoint why Trump backs Johnson. Like, hey, he can get the votes, but we've seen that way too much. And that's
yeah.
Mike Steele, that is John Boehner, that is Paul Ryan. Like we just elected the same exact guy for speaker. So I just want to get to Squiggles McJr. over here first, giving the salute. What's up? And then he says, I refuse to vote for a woman, and I don't think that that's a very different sentiment from just the general male populace, not even conservative males. I think that worked against Hillary and Kamala, even for the Democrat side.
I'll vote for Tulsi Gabbard, but I'd never vote for Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I would campaign until I'm blue in the face against Sarah Huckabee Sanders because I think that she would portray weakness, and she just looks like she is better off running a bake sale at a local church than running for the highest office in the United States. So
See, I wouldn't vote for Tulsi unless I could sit down and talk to her and find out if she's actually not on the left anymore, because she was fairly strong on the left during her campaign. She endorsed Bernie.
yeah,
Okay. And I'm fine with people
but
changing
Bernie was a
over,
populist.
but Bernie's a communist.
Yeah,
Populist and communist are one. So yes,
true.
but I
Yeah.
don't like Marxism, and I'm firmly against that. So it's like
Mhm.
if Tulsi saw a lot of good in him, that terrifies me. Now I love her military service. I love her brashness. The fact that she destroyed Kamala was amazing. Obviously, it's a highlight of hers, and she said a lot of the right things. And
Right.
she's easy on the eyes. That doesn't hurt from my perspective, but
I
I
just
do
think when
just
I see Tulsi Gabbard, I see someone walking with conviction and who has the capacity to be feared around the world. I see Sarah Huckabee Sanders is just like, and I know I'm being a little cruel and passive
but
aggressive,
that's
but
politics.
I genuinely when Tim Scott and her were being rumored for VP, um, between the two of them, I despise both of those people, and I want them nowhere near my politics.
You know how I'm going to judge more female politicians? If I think they're screechy. And Tulsi doesn't seem screechy. If she gets angry, I can't see her getting into the Kirsten Gillibrand
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
type
yeah.
of screechiness, because I think that is a very, again, sounds weak, right? When you start becoming a screechy female, like the females that demand power are the ones that seem like they can maintain their decor when they are
Right,
being firm, right? And the
right.
same thing with males. You have a guy that just flies off the handle and screams and goes crazy. People are going to look and
Yeah,
say, I don't want to fucking be with that guy. He's a dickhead. Like, we don't like
right.
him. But you have the guy that's firm. And even if he raises his voice or yells, it's still firmness in it. That's
Right.
what you look for. So that's kind of how I'll judge if they could be screechy. And I
Yeah,
don't see
I
Tulsi
mean,
being screechy.
I have no problem voting for a woman president.
It has to be the
And
right
and
one.
I think for me, personally, and we will have some disagreements here. I would say that Tulsi Gabbard is a 2028 front runner in my book. Um, but when it comes to Sarah Huckabee Sanders, there's some, women's Christian women's ministry that she can go lead. It's probably the best she can do. Just get her out of my face. I don't want to see her. She's obnoxious. She's loud. She kind of like pouts. Her face is sunken in, and she's just genuinely a negative. You ever see the movie Inside Out? You have kids, so you
Yes.
probably
Yes. I've
have,
seen
right?
Inside Out.
She's sadness from inside out. You know what I mean? That's what I see. Get out of here. Go. Go. Get out. Never want to see you again. Stay out of my politics.
I love it. All right, let's get to some more comments right here. Squiggles saying, I like Tulsi, but if she were trying to get my vote, she wouldn't get it. Nate G jumping in. I used to like Bush as a neocon teenager. We can wise up. That's agreed. And Squiggles coming back. You know, one woman in Poly I really do like, Lily Tang. I don't know much about Lily Tang. I've heard the name. I don't know much about her. Maybe I'll look up Lily Tang. What do you
You
have
know
any
who's a
opinions about
sleeper?
Lily?
You know who's a sleeper? A sleeper contender for a higher office in the future? Not in
Who?
28. Anna Paulina Luna.
Anna
Don't
Paulina
underestimate
Luna.
her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't underestimate her. Lauren Boebert, get out. Bye. See you later. But Anna Paulina Luna, I genuinely believe has a political future.
They're just my thing is with any of these like good-looking women that come into politics, right? They can get in off of sounding smart and then looking good. But there needs
Right.
to be something there once you get into office, right? And I think Lauren's
Substance.
had her highlights. She's had controversies that don't help. And you know what? Whatever. Personal life, I don't give a shit about people's personal life generally as long as it's not a crime when you're in politics.
Don't
I
go
don't care
hold up
about
the
that.
Bible, but don't go hold up a Bible though and say that you're advocating for biblical principle, and then be found in a Beetlejuice the play showing, giving some guy a hand job and being asked multiple times to leave.
Listen,
Be
I
consistent.
agree
If
with
you're going
that.
to be
Yeah.
in public, at least be consistent. If you want to go have a massive orgy with a ton of baby oil, with a whole, like even if you're a closeted homosexual Republican like Lindsey Graham, if you want to go and
There's
oil a
nothing
whole bunch of
positive
guys
about him.
up, if you want to go oil a whole bunch of guys up in your personal life, by all means, but don't be a Bible thumper and then get caught doing something like that, because it makes the rest of us look real stupid.
Listen, I agree. I agree that. But you know what? And I believe part of that is coaching, that they need to be coached because you want to be very Christian so you can court the evangelicals. And it's like,
Right.
the one thing is maybe I would never be successful in politics because this is me. I'm going to be me. I'm going to speak like me. Do I believe in God? Sure. Do I go to church every Sunday? No. So it's like, I'm never, someone will coach me and be like, tell them you do all this. And I'd be like, no. Like,
Yeah.
no. And like, maybe I would lose. And that's fine. It
Yeah.
is what it is. But yeah, so I like that. I like the spirited discussion with this. How do you see the first 2 years, first term going for Trump in terms of getting congressional participation to move across his agenda?
I think he'll be doing more negotiating with left wing than the right wing, because I think that there is a large portion of right wing Congress that is just not going to work with President Trump. And I think that he's going to have to look to an AOC or the rest of the squad or some kind of middle of the road, coal town Republicans to kind of pass his agenda, because I just, or not Republicans, excuse me, Democrats
Democrats. Yeah.
to pass his agenda, because I just don't. I think that faction of the right wing, and they're not even really right wing. I mean,
No.
they're just establishment.
They're centrist.
They're gross, right? That will not work with him. So I think he's going to have more problems from probably 30 to 35 GOP representatives than he will from 15 to 20 Democrats in Congress that he can work with. So he's going to have to look across the aisle to get his agenda passed in Congress. I think the Senate is going to be much easier, because I think he's going to want to look into really working with some other people. I think there are some genuine things that we can get done in relation to drug costs
Mhm.
that John Fetterman and Bernie Sanders will have no problem supporting.
Bernie might.
Right?
Bernie's a turncoat. Bernie is one of the weakest people that tried to be strong for a little. I think Bernie will do whatever he's told to do. I don't think Bernie has a
I think
backbone.
he's getting tired of it, though.
But I think he's going to retire anyway. So maybe
I,
he will not give a shit when he's starting to retire.
right. But I see that in 2020, when, metaphorically, the empire was striking back, I think I think his spirits were defeated.
Yeah.
Because he not just once, but twice had the Democratic primary rigged against him.
Yep.
Right. Which is what I'm afraid will happen to us if we split our populist vote, our MAGA base 12 different ways in 2028, which is why we need to coalesce, around a front runner real fast. Okay.
I think the reality is, unfortunately, it's bound to split. Because here's the reason why. Because as this was necessary, right? If the left continues to be crazy and goes further left, which I don't know if their donor class and their higher politicians are going to allow that right now, because they tried the leftist thing and it failed terribly, right?
Yeah.
If they start to come back and sound a little more sane, we're going to lose so many of those disaffected liberals, because they will go back, because they much rather vote for a Democrat than a Republican. And if you don't have somebody with the same level of charisma as
If
Donald
Josh
Trump,
Shapiro runs, we're in trouble.
But if Josh Shapiro runs, it might be a godsend because the anti-Semites on the left are going to not vote for him. They won't vote for a Democrat, and the anti-Semites on the left are vast and wide. So
Okay, so let me ask you a question. JD Vance, Josh Shapiro.
JD Vance,
What's that look like? By what margin?
320. It'll be similar. It would be a similar margin right now than we see right now.
And what do you think that would why do you think that would be?
Because I think there's too many anti-Semites in the left. I think the left is incredibly anti-Semitic, which is the main reason why Shapiro, who theoretically would have put Kamala over, right? If she had a competent VP, it's that easy for Democrats to win. If they just seem competent, then they get the heart vote, right? If and the thing is, they knew they would have lost a ton of people because a woman and a Jewish person, they would have been screwed.
Um,
That's
who do you think? Who do you think they run in 28? Because Shapiro is the only one that comes to mind that could win people over. For me.
the smart vote for me. I mean, if I were smart, I would say Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna would get your people on your neocons would go for Ro Khanna because he seems like a centrable leftist. And if Fetterman continues going on his path, a Khanna Fetterman ticket, and if he starts to be able to speak again, that's a really hard ticket to beat because
Yeah,
they both seem sensible.
the machine that controls the Democratic primary would never let that happen.
You're saying who I think would be good for them. Now
Yeah.
I know that they're a bunch of morons.
So who do you think they would elect?
Hakeem Jeffries is going to be in there as a frontrunner.
Hakeem
Hakeem Jeffries is because they are thinking,
28?
yeah, because they're racist as hell and they're going to be like, he's a lightish skinned black guy too. Let's get him in there. He kind of looks like Obama. Remember Obama? They just tried to do it with Kamala. The whole campaign was trying to be Obama's campaign. It was all supposed to be this happy, hopey, changey shit.
Do you think that they're saving Michelle Obama as a smash glass in case of emergency kind of candidate?
I don't think Michelle wants to run.
She doesn't want to run, but if they collectively decided, all right, you're running, what happens?
I don't think Michelle cares. Honestly, from what I've seen, just from Michelle's demeanor, I don't think her and Barack get along very well. It doesn't seem that way. So I don't think Barack coming to her and saying, honey, we need this is going to do anything. I think
Right.
Michelle's really happy being a bajillionaire, maybe going to make a
writing
few
all of her
speeches,
books,
writing all of her
out
books.
on a yacht by Martha's Vineyard. She's
Not
very
caring.
happy.
I think
Yeah.
she's very, I don't think she has, because she wasn't a super ambitious first lady. She had her things that she pushed as a
Can I
first
tell you
lady.
something, Alex?
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? And this is a really serious thing, and this is why Michelle Obama would lose a general election. All the fifth graders that Michelle Obama had their lasagna taken away from are old enough to vote.
It's true.
They remember the cardboard pizza.
That is true.
They remember the wheat pizza. They remember the square salads. They remember the skim milk. Do not underestimate the disenfranchised fifth graders who
Are going to be old enough.
she messed with their school lunch.
Agreed.
There is a specific person that comes to mind right now who's very animated about this, who would dedicate his life to completely destroying Michelle Obama's candidacy. And it would be solely and specifically because she took away his lasagna.
Is he sitting here on the show right now?
He is not sitting here on the show. His name is Jacob Stein. And like he might be on a list because of how upset he is over that. So Michelle Obama took our lasagna and we never forgot.
That's
and we
awesome.
can vote. So
And if she ever runs, the Republicans need to be smart and just blast that everywhere.
yeah.
Like
She took your lasagna. We
Remember
gave
this
you
cardboard
we gave you a living wage and a good economy for your first job. She took your lasagna. Who do you want to win?
I'm going to get to a few comments here. Oh, fuck's coming in with Luna as a total smoke show too. I mean, yeah. Yeah,
She was in Maxim.
she was in Maxim and her one piece supporting Trump was forever memorable.
I'm going to get in trouble though if I say any more about that.
I'm married. Yeah, you're not married yet. My wife doesn't care. Squiggles McJr. The hotter they are, the more I don't trust them. That's kind of not a bad policy. Those people posing need to be exposed. Squiggles coming back again. Lots of GOP are out for blood in the primaries, which is good if it's the right GOP people. And he says the base stat is, yeah, it's the populist. Squiggles on a roll here. I say we put Trump Jr. in 2028 if he wants it. Um, if he wants it, we're waiting for Barron. Honestly, Barron is Steve Bannon as a future jumper, so Steve is going to make sure he guides Barron into his inevitable future. Squiggles, GOP is having a massive infighting over the AIPAC issue right now too. We're going to get to that. Race
How
card
about
winner.
Don Jr. 28?
Well, that's what you were saying, Trump Jr.
But like seriously, let's have that conversation, because I used to not think it was even possible, but now there was a poll that was published. He's neck and neck with JD Vance in terms of the early primary polling that they're doing.
He would need to continue to do what he's doing, but get more active. And he would need to, like, he's doing good things. Like, obviously, it seems like he's going to be more involved with, Trump Senior's second run around. He already was an envoy over in Greenland, and that's a big thing.
Yeah.
The difference is there might be fatigue, unless again Trump needs to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And if there's fatigue there, if it doesn't go really well, it'll be hard for Junior to come in. And he might have to wait until 32 or 36 when there's a little gap there if he wants it. And again, there just might be fatigue there. It really might. That is a possibility of Trump fatigue because he's not his dad.
The only problem I see with JD Vance is he always looks like he's running on 3 hours of sleep.
But that
And
looks like he's a man that works hard. Maybe that's good.
it does, but he's not very animated and he's soft spoken, which was good in winning over people who were a little worried about Trump going off the rails. But I think that the MAGA base is used to enthusiasm and charisma and energy, and it's almost like a drug at this point for them.
Yes.
So I would be worried about him being able to inherit the enthusiasm and the support that President Trump has.
Now, it could be an enthusiastic VP that helps him, right? Like if we want to put Don Jr. there as VP, that might actually be a better
Would he ever
setup.
do it though? Would Don Jr. ever would he be able to live with not being at the top of the ticket?
From what I've seen from Don Jr. is just willing to do what he needs to do. I really see him being a guy that just wants to grind, because he didn't have to take up a podcast during these last 4 years, whatever, and just go to war with everybody and not give a shit. After they tried, he could have just went quietly after they deposed him over and over and over with the stupid J6 committee. But what did he do? He fought. He fought. Obviously, he knew his dad wanted to run again, even though that wasn't questioned for a little bit, right? Whether or not Trump actually wanted to do it. But he battled. And I think he's someone that might grind. And I also think he's smart. I think he'll see, okay, nobody knows anything about me. I'm not my dad. I don't have that business mogul side that people knew him from television. They just kind of know me as Trump's son. So let me get involved. Let me become a vice president first.
He lives like he is a middle class dad anyway.
Oh, he has a freaking cabin over in the Adirondacks. He goes hunting all the time up in northern New York. He's more in tune.
He went falconing with RFK Jr.
Did he really?
Yeah, in the Hudson Valley. They did that like a couple months ago.
That's awesome. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like he does seem like a regular guy. And he has more. I think he tries to have a more regular guy lifestyle as well, it seems like. So that would be good. But I think he might be smart to just go the VP route. And I don't see him as being a dumb guy. If he has political aspirations, I think that would be the route he might want to go. So we'll see. We'll see.
Eric Trump wants to, but his dad told him no.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Eric's doing a good job on the business side. So
yeah,
I think Barron's going to run for Senate when he's able to.
Oh, it'd be great.
I think Barron's going to. I think
Barron wants a political future. You can see it. He's hungry for it.
What do you have to be? 25 for Senate?
30 for Senate.
30 for Senate, 25 for the House.
For Congress, yeah.
So I think Barron will skip the House, and I think he'll go right to Senate, and I think he'll challenge probably AOC at that point. Well, I think he's going to come back to New York and try and challenge AOC. Because AOC will be senator by then.
Can you imagine?
AOC is going to take Chuck's spot, and she'll be there for a while as long as. And don't discount AOC running for president in 28. Don't discount that.
She's been planning it for like 10 years.
That's why she became a little more center. That's why she stopped being as loud, because they told her, if you want this, you need to shut the fuck up sometimes. And she listened, right?
Yeah.
She did her whole time crying
They're
scene
gonna
and then
have
no
a
voting.
they're gonna have a bloody primary on the left
But
in
that's the way it, here's
2028.
the thing. That's the way it should be. Primaries
Yeah, I
should be
agree.
messy. They should be messy, but then everyone should be able to come together again. And that's what the Democrats are great at.
Can
They're
I
very good
read
at that.
a Truth Social post that President Trump put out? I think it's just incredible.
The most recent one about not
Yep.
wanting certain people in his campaign.
Yeah,
Here, let me put it up. Hold on, let
he
me.
said,
I'll pull it up and we
oh,
can
okay.
read it real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's the power of technology. Let me do this real quick. Go to Truth Social. Boom. Where's the Don? There's the Don. No, it's in my bookmarks actually. See, I had this ready.
Because it's
I'm a
hilarious.
I'm a good host. Boom, boom, boom. Now, where is it? This is exactly what you want from a podcast, just being quiet and not saying anything. Where the hell did it go? I'm finding it, I promise. There we go. I got it. So let's bring this up because Trump is a hilarious man. Boom. Here we are. Nope. Don't want that. Boom, boom. Okay. So do you want me to read it or you want to read it?
I can read it.
Yeah.
As of today, the incoming Trump administration has hired over 1,000 people for the United States government. They're outstanding in every way, and you will see the fruits of their labor over the coming years. We will make America great again, and it will happen very quickly. In order to save time, money, and effort, it would be helpful if you would not send or recommend to us people who worked with or are endorsed by Americans for No Prosperity, headed by Charles Koch, Dumb as a Rock John Bolton, Bird Brain Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, disloyal warmongers Dick Cheney and his psycho daughter Liz, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, General question mark Mark Milley, James Mattis, Mark Jesper, or any of the other people suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, more commonly known as TDS. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The only one he left out was McDonald's manager Chris Christie.
Yes. But Chris Christie's so irrelevant that he doesn't care about him. Now, one thing I did notice about this, he didn't give the nicknames to Pence or Romney because obviously Madison Jesper are part of the whole entire general class there.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. And even Paul Ryan, because he obviously was cordial with Pence at the funeral. He shook his hand, right? And I think those minor things, Romney came out not too long ago and was like, he's now the president. We got to rally behind him as, a senator. And that was big. And I think even Paul Ryan was like, in this term, we got to get things done. Like Congress needs to work. And those minor things.
Paul Ryan said that when we had a 40 majority and did nothing.
But those minor things mean a lot to Trump. If you come out and say those things publicly. So while they're on the list, they didn't get, because Mike Pence could have quite literally, he could have called him Traitor Pence. He's called him it before, right? So taking away that label is huge to Trump because he was thinking and he probably wrote it all and just backtracked it.
He probably sat with this one for a little while before putting it out.
And I hope Don Jr. got involved to tell him who to include and who not to include. But yeah, no, I saw that was an incredible post and good. And it's smart because that is something that Trump is really good at doing, signaling to his base that he is still there. Signaling to his base that he still listens to us, that he still understands what we want. And sitting there, and I know I've questioned some of his picks, right? Mehmet Oz being anywhere near anything drives me crazy. Mehmet Oz is he's an abortion guy. Like
what's crazy? I never thought I'd say this in 2025. If you had said to 2022, Michael, that I would feel this way, it's insane. I would much prefer John Fetterman in the U.S. Senate than Mehmet Oz.
100%. And I didn't think that way either. But you know what, though? At that point, I was so mad that Trump didn't endorse Kathy Barnett and that Sean Hannity fucking badmouthed her. That pissed me off. And honestly, I was already off of Hannity, but that killed Hannity for me completely because I liked Kathy Barnett a lot. And she was working with Vivek Ramaswamy during his campaign, which is why his campaign, I think, had a lot of legs as well when it did.
8% in Iowa when you had, for all intents and purposes, an incumbent running.
Yep.
And you were running on the same but kind of refined America First message is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's crazy.
You can't just throw that out the window. It's a shame because Vance never got in that primary. Vivek earned that nomination, and I still feel kind of uneasy that he didn't get it.
Vance would have never been VP in that primary because he couldn't be MAGA, because people would have just played all of his clips. He that would have been used
Yeah,
against him so much, and it would have crushed him. He was
that's
smart.
true.
He was smart
But
not getting in.
I really hope that Vivek isn't passed up in the future. Like I think he deserves a shot in 28.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to get to a few of these comments here. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. I got Nate G. I could see DeSantis too. He's rallying off that bad campaign for VP potentially. I don't think DeSantis wants VP. DeSantis is going to run for president, and I still think there's an outside chance DeSantis comes back in and does it well. Oh, hello, Kitty.
Sorry, we have another guest.
That's okay. Cats are welcome here. Squiggle saying he doesn't trust senators. He's also saying typical trend is they only pick senators, but I want a businessman as pro temp for, yeah, I like that. Same for speaker, someone from the outside. Nate G saying, I remember Don Jr. on Timcast wasn't exactly relatable. He was stretching into blue collar, and I like to hunt about 200 times. I mean, listen, it is, I think it is hard sometimes coming down and trying to not sound too uppity when that's when you were raised. But I feel like Don Jr. is as non-uppity as you could find for somebody who's raised by a billionaire. Okay. Like, like he's got to be.
Don Jr. is genuinely like laid back.
I know someone who's friendly with Don Jr. and is over there at Bedminster because he's a member, and he talks to Don all the time because Don is around. He's not just one of those people that could just go stay in the house. So, and he's gone hunting with him and stuff before. So he said Don's dope.
Yeah.
Squiggle's also saying he wants to try and look like a regular guy. I don't think Don is trying to look like a regular guy. I think Don just talking about the things that he likes, and he knows it connects. And people ask him about it too. In his defense, people ask him about the things he does, and he just says it. All right. And Nate G saying already a contender for base post of the year. Absolutely. So we're already close to an hour, but I do want to get your opinion about this. We have seen a big fractioning of the right at the start of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And it has only grown so much to a point where if you are a true populist conservative and you're just like, hey, I don't want my money going any foreign wars, and you're consistent on that, you all of a sudden are an anti-Semite, anti-Zionist, you hate Israel, you think they shouldn't exist, you're not Christian enough. I know you had a post, it was a story, right?
Yeah.
About, Israeli people, but kind of sum up, not Israeli people, the only Israeli people, like hardcore, we need to support Israel 24/7, everything. What is your opinion on the way you termed it to me a little bit ago, Israeli infallibility?
I think if you're coming at it from the perspective being an evangelical Christian, it's massively hypocritical to believe in Israeli infallibility. But let me explain what that is real quick for anybody who might be curious. The Catholic Church and the Vatican give a certain amount of deference to the Pope. And what that is referred to as papal infallibility. That means if there's a major doctrinal debate, the Pope can weigh in, give an opinion, and then that is then decreed as doctrine.
Mhm.
Okay. And whatever that decision is, it is viewed as being infallible, which means it is the directive of the Pope. Therefore, it's doctrine. Done. Right? That's it. Now, to the credit of the Catholic Church, that's not often used, right? But it's being more challenged as time goes on and as progressive Catholicism starts to grow. I mean, you saw that new movie Conclave, where the big twist is that the new incoming pope is a woman secretly.
It's so
But
ridiculous.
it's just unbelievable. But evangelical Christians, Protestants, Baptists, Pentecostal, right? Basically outside of the traditional church, really take a problem with papal infallibility. But those same evangelical Christians not being able to separate the biblical and historical importance and relevance of the nation of Israel as God decreed it, and the worldly and secular Israeli government,
Mhm.
Okay, the people that are incapable of separating those things have created a climate within Christianity and also popular culture, because there's a lot of influence because of money, but we won't go down that rabbit hole right now.
That could be a
Um,
whole other
be a
10-hour podcast.
whole 10-hour podcast, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but what the Jewish lobby has done through a very careful and coordinated cultural penetration operation, right, is anyone who questions the Israeli government, okay, and the infallibility of the Israeli government, which is, by the way, super progressive and generally advocates for absolutely everything that core conservatism believes in and stands for. Okay, for example, uh, the Democratic Party in 2020 was brought to you by the Jewish lobby. Okay, late
Mhm.
term abortions brought to you by the Jewish lobby. Planned Parenthood brought to you by the Jewish lobby, along with some prominent eugenists.
Yep.
Right? Um, they're in complete and total odds with what core conservatives stand for.
Well, they vote leftist. Majority of Jews
Majority of the
vote
time,
leftist.
and it makes
Um,
no sense. It makes no sense, but it has less to do with the personal belief and more to do with the money, right?
yep.
So
Yep. Money talks.
no different than any lobbying cartel.
Mhm.
Absolutely nothing. It's been hijacked and used to promote neoliberal and culturally corrosive ideas that are meant to collapse society. And I truly and genuinely believe that, and I believe it's premeditated. But again, totally different conversation for another day. What has happened through that cultural penetration campaign
Mhm.
is any Christian, evangelical Christian, that questions the Israeli government is somehow, by extension, questioning God's ordained people and God's chosen people, and also the nation of Israel as it's outlined in the Bible. And what I said in my post is that you can separate the reverence you have for the nation of Israel and the significance of it from a biblical perspective, and being able to be nuanced and critical and think for yourself about decisions that the secular, okay, and progressive worldly Israeli government is doing. So basically, what I said is, look, I have reverence for the nation of Israel. I understand the biblical significance of it. But as a taxpayer, okay, and as somebody who wants to be consistent across the board in what I believe when it comes to my foreign policy,
Yep.
right, I am not going to give a blank check and give complete infallibility to the Israeli government that, like I said, is always at complete odds with what I believe in as a conservative and also a man of God. And there has been so much propaganda, and there has been so much influence peddling, and there has been so much lobbying, and there's been so much cultural penetration to where we're now at a point, okay, where if you question the Israeli government, you are an anti-Semite.
Yeah. It's been such a weird ride too, because it's also spawned some legitimate anti-Semites on the right, where
Of
all they
course,
do is talk about, and
Jew,
it's like
Jew, Jew. You've seen the meme with Alex Jones, Jew, 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 right?
it's
Um,
Israel derangement
True.
system. I'll take that from Tim Cass. They have IDS, and it's like
Yeah,
everything
true.
goes back to Israel, and
Mhm.
that's and you're gonna get that, and I completely agree with you too, because for me, again, I want to be consistent like you. If I don't believe a foreign country should be getting money to fight a war, then I don't believe a foreign country should be getting my money to fight a war, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Israel. Again,
Yeah.
that none of that matters to me. And the thing is, I understand Israel is our closest ally there. One of the closest allies that we have around, like we do. People are like, "Oh, we get nothing from them." We trade intelligence with Mossad all the time. Like that is, and we don't know probably the ins and outs of our actual allyship. So I understand
And we
wanting
don't
to be
even
there.
do it. We don't even approach that from a cautionary perspective. It's just like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah. So it's like
it's a symbiotic relationship.
exactly. So I understand as a government wanting to support your allies. Now, from the perspective of the government, I've heard Bibi a lot of the times, and again, I don't always agree with I'm with you. I don't always agree with what the Israeli government does, but I have not heard Bibi Zelensky it and say we want a ton of money and weapons. I've heard Bibi for the most part saying we want unconditional support. We
Yeah.
want to hear your public statements of support with whatever we do while we go do it, which again could be against our ideals because when they do something fucked up, we should call them out for it too, right?
Yeah.
Like
But
there
if you
should
do
be
that, the
super
both
Israeli base on
the
on our
lobby goes, no, you're
yes,
not allowed to
yes.
do that.
And
You are not allowed to do that. And if you do that, then you're an insincere Christian and you don't support Israel and you don't give deference to the Bible.
and my whole thing
And
is too,
I
it's
don't
like
like that.
when it comes to the war between the terrorist and the Palestinians and the terrorist allies, because that's all they are, and Israel, I believe absolutely zero of what the Palestinians are putting out, and maybe
Mhm.
5% of what the Israelis are putting out, because it's the fog of war. They are all
Yep.
going to try and put out things that they want you to be sympathetic for their
Exactly.
causes. So I believe basically none of it, and that also goes with Ukraine and Russia and any war that's going on. Because if you are hardcore believing in one side, then you're not
Yeah.
seeing anything. You're seeing nothing.
And again, when you're nuanced and think for yourself and don't see it as black and white and see it for what it is and don't pick a side, you get attacked by both.
And I'm okay with
And
that.
that's where I am.
And
That's where I am.
I'm fine with getting attacked by both because anyone that can just plant their flag, like there's some things you plant your flag for, right? Like grown men and women shouldn't be diddling kids, flag planted, right?
Mhm.
You shouldn't be going and just offing people for no reason. Okay, flag planted, right? That's a fine one.
Yeah.
A legitimate war and a biblical war raging back thousands of years that I'm not in that region. I don't know what's actually going on. I'm being told by people and investigative journalists, fuck you. I don't care what you have to say, honestly.
Yeah.
And documentaries are made. Documentaries are always slanted. I don't care about those either. I'll take information from them. That's fine. But I just, I'm over here in New York, in the United States. I know dick all about what's actually going on between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I know nothing about what's going on in most places. I don't travel there. Okay. So it's to me, I want basically nothing to do with them
Yeah.
right now. Like that's it.
But guess where we live, Alex? We live in upstate New York.
Yep.
We live within earshot of Westchester County,
Mm-hmm.
White Plains, and some of the richest Jewish
Yes.
communities in the world.
Who continue to
Okay?
get Andrew Cuomo elected.
You're right, right. And guess what? If you criticize the Israeli government, the response you usually get around here is, my grandmother died in the Holocaust, so you better support the fact that we're sending billions of dollars worth of ballistic missiles over there,
so
or I'll
crazy.
strangle you. Right?
Yep.
That is the climate we live in. And
And it's
there's
unfortunate because they ruin American
unbelievable.
support from logical people, right? Because I feel like before this whole thing went down, even people like me and you were like, no, Israel's our ally. They're dope. Let's help them out.
Yeah.
And then when you get these responses of unconditional, give them everything they want. And it's like, number one, they don't need
Don't
everything.
question anything. Give us a blank check. Support us. Let us just bomb everyone unconditionally. And if you dare ever change your tune, if you dare ever,
Step out of line.
question us, not even just disagree with us, but if you even are skeptical of us, you are a raging anti-Semite. Shame on you, you disgusting person.
And that sounds
That's
a
what
lot
it
like
is.
the left. And
Yeah.
that's a lot like
You
the way
can't
the left
question
likes to work.
anything.
Exactly.
You can't question anything. You have to just bury your head in the sand, plug your ears, and go along with whatever they say, or get crushed.
And this
That's
is very
basically
similar to
the
hardcore
Israeli
MAGA.
lobby.
Very similar to hardcore MAGA. We're seeing these
True.
crazy sects of
Right.
groups in this that are like, if you question anything Donald Trump says,
Laura
you're
Loomer.
not MAGA enough.
Laura Loomer.
Yeah, you're
Laura
not
Loomer
MAGA
literally
enough.
said, if you block me or choose not to support me, then you're not MAGA. So apparently she's the entire MAGA movement. She's the
She's the
mouthpiece
Fauci.
for it.
She's the Fauci. She's the
Yeah.
science. She's the MAGA.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
Yeah.
it's like you take your good with your bad, right? Like Laura has been before kind of going a little nuts and net positive with her Twitter stuff and things like that. And now she's kind of like, now that Trump's been elected, what's the role for Laura Loomer? You know, it's like, I wish
Right.
that she would find a better role because I do think that she can be a good investigative journalist. She's done decent work before, but it's like,
Yeah.
find a new niche. That battle's won. Where was there another game that like, and with people that like that just tied themselves only to MAGA, I think that's insane because what's next, right?
Right.
What's
Right.
next? And
I don't wear this hat just because I want to make America healthy again. I wear this hat because I think freely and I want to welcome multiple different views and perspectives.
me and you have
If you have,
disagreed personally about RFK. Like
that's
with
true.
RFK, you have staunch support for him. I
Yep.
don't trust him as far as I could throw him, and I'm not a very strong man, so I can't throw him very far. So it's like, like there's that. So, but it's like, okay, me and you disagree, but we agree on a ton of other things, and I still think
Mhm,
you're pretty dope.
mhm.
So it's like,
Yep.
that's okay. And we need to get back to that point where it's like we're still on the same side. We disagree about some things, but you're not MAGA enough, and I'm not
Yeah.
Maha enough because we disagree on that.
Yeah. I would just honestly, I would just describe myself as a populist. I want I want secure borders.
Mhm.
Okay. I want economic freedom. I want prosperity for all. Like Alex Jones was discussing with Elon Musk on an X Space probably over a year ago. Team humanity, right? That's what I advocate for. I want us all to have the opportunity to experience a prosperous future. I want reasonable trade. I want America first, right? So
Yep.
that's something I really do have in common with
MAGA.
MAGA.
Mhm.
But I'm not like Nick Fuentes, and my version of America first means that everybody that doesn't look like me needs to be exterminated, and I'm awaiting the resurrection of Adolf Hitler,
So we're
right?
going to talk about Nick Fuentes because Nick Fuentes is on the left. Like, if we're really being honest, because if you're a fascist or any sort of fascism, you're on the left because fascism is the right wing of the left.
Right. Well, I would I
James
would
Lindsay
I would
described
I
that
would
the
describe
best.
him as a Christo-fascistic white nationalist.
Yeah, and the thing is, you talk to white nationalists, they sound a lot like leftist.
Yeah.
They're very much. What was it called? What's the comedian Ryan Long did that awesome video. Now, God, has to be 5 years ago, 4 years ago, where it was like the racist and the white supremacist are like, or like the leftist and the racist white supremacist have
Mhm,
everything in common. And it's
mhm.
true because when you start talking like that, it's like, okay, identity matters. Yes, identity really matters. We should not go outside of our race. No, definitely don't go outside of your race. Like, there's so much agreement between
Right,
those
it's a
groups of
horseshoe.
people.
It's
Yeah.
the horseshoe theory,
Yes.
and that
When it
also
gets to those
applies to
extremes, they get
other
close.
things as well. You know, the fact that, like, when it comes to H-1B visas, Bernie Sanders has more in common with MAGA, like
Mhm.
Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon and Bernie Sanders have the same position on H-1B,
Yep.
and, that should show you something as well.
Yes.
So, me personally, I'm for a pro-human future. I don't care if you're white, black, Jewish, Arab, I don't care, right? If you want to fight, to push back against global tyranny, welcome aboard. Awesome. Let's do it. Let's work together. We could disagree on things, but ultimately, let's look at the threat that's before us, and it's a lot larger than the United States, right? This is happening
Yeah.
all over the world, okay? Um, so I think that, me personally, I'm culturally conservative,
Mhm.
right? But culturally conservative by today's standards, not
Yes.
1950. I'm not Nick Fuentes. A lot of
Nick
people look
Fuentes
at
isn't Nick Fuentes, okay? Nick
I know
Fuentes had a
a lot of
sex
people,
tape with
but
Destiny, okay? Like, he's not.
when you say you're culturally conservative, right? Some people who are kind of, I
Not
would say,
hip to
like,
what the current culture
yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah.
basically.
That just means non-identitarian,
Essentially. Yeah.
non-identitarian.
Yeah.
That's what it means. It
We
means
don't
that,
believe in the critical theories, identity,
yeah, I
anything like
judge
that.
people based on the content of their character and not the color of their skin. That's where I am. I'm in 1964 when it comes to my,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a Kennedy Democrat when it comes to me describing myself as culturally conservative,
Yep.
right? So, um, but from an economic standpoint, I'm very populist. On other issues, I'm very populist. Um, and I genuinely just want a prosperous future for everybody. So something I've been pushing back against so much is supremacy and superiority complexes wherever they come from. Okay. Left wing, right wing. I'm in the center. I see it for what it is, noise. Okay. So whether it's cultural Marxism, economic or racial, black supremacy, Black Lives Matter, Soros funded stuff going on, right? Whether it's that, whether it's the Christo-fascistic white nationalism that Nick Fuentes has going on, or whether it's the Arab supremacy that
I'm going
also
against the fake trad too, the fake trad supremacy. I
fake,
don't like
yeah,
them either.
yeah. That as well. Like I said, Cornell West. Look at Cornell West. You have the Arab supremacy and the kind of like Black Panther Party
Louis
going on there.
Farrakhan shit like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Al Sharpton,
Yep.
Ibram X. Kendi, get out of here.
Oh
Get
my
out
God,
of here. You
Ibram X.
guys are
Kendi.
unproductive. Robin DiAngelo, those people,
Robin
right?
DiAngelo is gone. What has a woman destroyed, Robin DiAngelo? Or am I racist?
Rabbi
What is am I
Shmuley,
racist?
the
Yeah.
famous Rabbi Shmuley, who labels anyone who disagrees with the Israeli lobby or the Israeli government as an anti-Semite, and is just vulgar and disgusting. So basically, anybody who believes that they're better than me because of their racial or cultural or religious ideological perspective that they hold, an agenda that they're hell-bent on imposing on everybody else, right? Let me just be honest. I'm an evangelical Christian, okay? Am I going to govern on that?
So, Mike,
No.
real quick,
My,
your camera froze on us.
yeah, I probably lost the battery because it's a Canon camera.
Oh no.
Yeah, no. I'll finish my point though.
Yeah, go for it real quick.
And
I'll
I
get
can
to some
change
comments.
I can change the battery in a second.
Yeah, go for it.
But when it comes to what I was just describing, I'm done with all of it. I'm done with all of it. Nobody is going to impose anything on me. But I was explaining, I'm an evangelical Christian.
Yep.
Okay. I have strong moral and ethical beliefs that are deep rooted in me. Okay. In how I practice my life. All right. But I'm a citizen and patriot of the United States of America. And what do we respect here in the United States of America if we actually like our country and don't want to burn it to the ground? The Constitution.
Yes, we do.
Okay. And anybody who is at odds or wants to implement their religious fundamentalist ideas instead of respecting and upholding the Constitution of the United States, I have a problem with them. Even though I believe God has his hand on the wheel and is controlling things and is sovereign over what's going on, I still recognize the fact that we have a way of doing things in this country, and I'm not going to tread on anybody else's ability to practice or exercise their religious or cultural practices. I just won't do it. I don't believe in it. So I'm a little libertarian when it comes to that, but you could also just call me patriotic because that's what the Constitution of the United States calls for. So, sue me.
I like it. I like it. So you go change that battery real quick. Let's get to some of the comments here. Squiggles coming in. I don't support Israel. I said, yeah, I don't support Israel, not one bit. And I'm not racist. I may make jokes, but I don't like organized criminals hiding behind religion or government or corporation. He also saying, I really like this guy, Alex. I like Mike too. Mike's a good guy. He's saying they are pretenders abusing good faith. Nate coming in saying, I agree, Squiggles, dude's based. That's a high praise from my two regulars there. Squiggles coming in, not only our faith, but also faith of the Jews. Squiggles saying, think about this. Do you want to be American-ish or American all the way? Nate G, I got two words for Israel and Palestine. Suck it. Going back to DX. Squiggles saying, yeah, both sides are bad. He doesn't want to pay for it. Squiggle saying this is a good show. Thank you. We try to put on something good. Yeah, Mike's awesome. Egalitarianism. Yes. Nate G saying RFK is based for his role. Callie Means is better. And Dr. Catherine Shanahan is the best on earth about food and health. But you know what, though? I wouldn't be surprised if RFK takes any advice from either of them and is willing to kind of listen out about some of the things they said, because some of the things he wants to implement and research are things that those two have been calling for. Squiggles saying Nick and Elijah are leaning into the fascism. Are you talking about Elijah Schaefer in there? Squiggles also saying I don't support ethno-nationalism. No. Nietzsche, most based book you could ever read is Deep Nutrition by Catherine Shanahan, former nutritional head for the Kobe / Shaq Lakers. She also works on the biological science side. Nate continuing breaks down what sugar actually does inside you. Yeah, sugar's terrible. Nate also saying Fuentes is a glowy to the max. Yes, he is. Yeah, and he is a plant. Fuentes wants to stir the pot and fuck Destiny, Nate says. Jesus, Nate. Squiggle saying meritocracy, supremacy. And yeah, so thank you guys for participating there. But yeah, you got some pretty good comments there, Mike, from some of the people. They're both saying you're based as hell. Nope, can't hear you right now. Oh boy.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. Hey.
All right. Yeah. I appreciate all your comments. And if you want to keep up with what I'm doing personally, you can follow me at Real Mike Marshall on Instagram.
Yep. Boom. I'm putting it up there. Real Mike Marshall. And even if you want to go on his X, Mike Marshall on X, he's there. If you want to go support him on both spots. And
my X is brand new. It's brand spanking new. I just literally started it. So
do you want to talk about what that beautiful studio is there for real quick? What's coming up for people that do follow you in the future?
Sure. Absolutely. So
putting you on the spot, damn it.
That's okay. So I have been working in different roles and capacities throughout the industry for the past, I'd say 2 years or so. But I don't want to be beholden to anybody to be responsible for platforming my views, because I realize that as a populist, I'm kind of unpopular.
Even though you're always welcome here. So I'll say that. You're always welcome here.
I love that. And I appreciate that. And I'll definitely take you up on that. But but the thing is that you make a lot of enemies. So what I'm doing is I'm not just going to be doing my show, which is going to be called Mike Marshall Authentic. And I made sure that I built something that was able to be respected on the level of a Blaze show or a Daily Wire show, so people would feel like investing their time in watching me and listening to what I have to say is valuable to them. But also, I want to make a commitment that, when I go forward and start producing my show and doing more content, that you could always trust that I'm never going to take money from any lobby or any group. I don't want to be bought. I don't want to be paid for. I want to be able to say whatever I want unconditionally, period, point blank. So that's why I'm not building this show for sale. Like, I'm not going to go shop it at a network when it has a decent following. I'm also building my own network from scratch, and that network is called Perseverance.
I love it.
And it's really about the perseverance of the human spirit, about building a pro-human future, about fighting against global tyranny, both domestic and abroad, and working with anybody who wants to do that. So right now, I'm currently working on the website that's in development. Once the website's up, there's going to be articles, there's going to be episodes, there's going to be exclusive interviews with some really big names too that are coming up too. There's going to be exclusive interviews.
I know the names. Haha, everyone. You don't know yet. Haha.
But the way it's going to work is that it's going to compete for the market of ideas. And what I aim to accomplish is leaving behind racial, cultural, and religious differences when it comes to choosing and picking who I work with and who I talk to, because I don't want to subscribe to that kind of style of coverage where I'm only going to talk to people I agree with. I want to talk to people I disagree with. I also want to talk to people I disagree with about 70% of things, but agree with about 30% of things. If Bernie Sanders was in this room, I'd have a 2.5 to 3 hour conversation with him about things we disagree on and also agree on.
I would absolutely talk to anybody as well. Like, I'm in the same boat as you with that. I want to disagree with people because then that's how you get closer.
Right. So yeah, so my show is going to be called Mike Marshall Authentic. There's going to be, full episodes, exclusive interviews, shorts, the whole gamut. That's going to be a brand in and of itself. But then I'm also building the infrastructure for a larger network where it won't just be me producing content. I want to bring on a whole variety of hosts to target, different groups that we can reach our hand out to and begin having more conversations with. So again, it's not a cultural or ideological operation like the Daily Wire, which I'm not afraid to say, right? They have an Overton window. When they
As they
fired
do.
Candace
Yeah.
Owens, they admitted it. They have an Overton window. You can only criticize Israel so much, right? The only Overton window at perseverance is going to be whether you're pro-human or not, and whether you oppose global tyranny, and whether you oppose Klaus Schwab and the New World Order and Bill Gates and anyone who's trying to poison and kill us and depopulate us. So very in vain of InfoWars, but unlike Alex Jones, I'm not going to hire a whole bunch of white nationalists around me, even though my personal opinion might be completely contrary to them. And I don't understand that. Alex Jones is the most like classically liberal guy, socially, and
Yeah.
also very classically liberal, but maybe because he was fringed out and banned, the only people he can attract are the Patrick Halleys of National Files and the incels that
I think that's probably what it was, that he
right.
couldn't, like, it was
Fire
difficult.
them, fire Chase Geiser, fire Owen Schroyer, fire Harrison Smith, or a whole bunch of incels. Get them out of there. It makes you look bad. They cannot inherit the company. Alex, please find people that want a pro-human future, that don't care what other people look like, and just genuinely want to make progress when it comes to prosperity for everybody. That's what I think Alex Jones needs to do, because he's a revolutionary guy.
The
He was
value
the
of Alex
first one
Jones,
out there.
though, the value of Alex Jones, though, is whether that group is with him or not, whether it's labeled InfoWars or not, he's going to be successful. People want to
He's
hear
going
what
to be
Alex Jones
successful
has to
because
say.
he's charismatic, he's smart, he's in depth. Alex Jones is my political daddy, but I just wish that he would. Can he not hire other people? Where did he find Owen Schroyer and Harrison Smith? I mean, they should be frolicking with the QAnon people. You
The
know,
only thing I want to amend is when you say prosperity for all, I want prosperity for those who work for it. Fuck everybody. I don't want because prosperity for all means the lazy pieces of shit. People that I want prosperity
not
for
equity,
those who work.
not equity,
There you
equal
go.
opportunity.
There we go. That's what I like. Because I've never been. The more I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't want prosperity for everyone. No, I want prosperity for those who want to
I'm not
work
talking about social safety nets and a welfare state. I'm talking about a meritocracy where everybody has the opportunity to work hard, make a living, build their empire, have a beautiful family, go play a game of golf, go hunting, go shooting, go to the movie theater, go to the ball game, enjoy their family, get on a jet ski in the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean, go to the beach, and be left the fuck alone.
Exactly.
That's
Do whatever
what I
the
want.
fuck you want. Leave us alone. If we all do our jobs as individual, the group succeeds. That's it.
And
So,
whether my next door neighbor is some Muslim, or whether my next door neighbor is some honestly some radical progressive lesbian, I don't care. Just leave me alone and leave me out of it. Live your life in peace. Worship your God. Vote for whoever you want to vote for. Let's have the intellectual debate of ideas. Okay. I like that. I like talking about ideas. You know why? Because bad ideas lose. Okay.
We need
That's
more.
why
We need
censorship
more ideas.
sucks.
Yes.
So, generally, for me, that's the kind of America I want to live in. That's the America we lived in before, and that's the America I want to restore. And then when it comes to, what we can do overseas with working with people like Javier Milei of Argentina, or Giorgia Meloni of Italy, or Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil, who can't run for 8 years and is currently under attack from that communist government.
Lula's a piece of shit.
Let's or Nigel Farage of Reform in UK.
Nigel showing to be very much a Tory. The more he's showing to be, once he's gone in there as an MP, he is becoming very much like a American conservative that says all the right things, gets in power, and Nigel's showing some cracks.
Well, we'll see. He's got some time. And Elon Musk reversed his position on not supporting him. So we'll see. But generally, pro-human future, America first together, and a reclaim humanity movement to make sure that they can never implement their new world order that they want for us. That's what perseverance is. It's perseverance of the human spirit, and it's perseverance of the human story. That's why I'm starting perseverance.
I love the goals, and you have an ally here at the Alex Cuesta Show between Dave and I. Anything you guys, we're not massive at all, but anything you will ever need, we will be happy to help out as much as possible, because I think, like everyone has seen, and I loved having you on, because I think, this is, you've been places before, you've done things, but I think in some ways, is a great introduction to who you are, what you believe, and what you plan on doing. And I know two of my followers here plan on following you more. Nate G coming in with a few saying, taking notes from Owen Benjamin. Love it. Squiggle saying, yeah, I'm going to watch more of this guy. If he sticks to egalitarianism, meritocracy, and transparency, he'll do good, which Mike will do good. Squiggle saying Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. Nate
And Donald Trump is Elvis Presley.
Nate saying apologize and bring back Owen Benjamin. That's what Alex should do. Owen used to sub for Alex for free. And
what about David Knight?
Owen Benjamin is the best.
What happened to David Knight? He was the medical guy. He was the Maha guy before RFK Jr. even invented Maha.
You know what? I would like to one day sit down and, if like on a private, talk about what happened to Alex via business, right? Because sometimes business does get in the way of things. So we don't know what went on internally at times. So again, that would be a conversation probably to have with Alex on the side somewhere. But
yeah.
Outside of that, Mike, I just want to say thanks for coming on, bro. This was lots of fun.
Absolutely, Alex. We'll be in touch, and thank you. Appreciate it.
So once again, he is Mike Marshall. Go look out for Mike Marshall Authentic. You can go, and I know he has a YouTube page up. So go over there and search Mike Marshall Authentic. You'll find it. It took me 2 seconds to find it. If you want to follow him on Instagram, it's at Real Mike Marshall. If you want to follow him on X, it's at Mike Marshall on X. And definitely go over there and go find him. Okay. Jimmy Carter is JFK. God damn it, Squiggles. Anyway, if we appreciate everyone that watched, wherever you watched, wherever you are, please go do your due diligence, smash the like button, do all that stuff. I don't feel like repeating it again. I'm getting lazy. Go find us on all platforms at the Alex Cuesta Show. And we'll be back next week with another incredible guest. Everybody, go follow Mike. He's based as hell, and you will not be disappointed with the future interviews as well. I will say that. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. So long, y'all.